So, sharks, man.
Hold on, I don't want to talk about sharks yet.
No?
I don't want to talk about sharks yet. We haven't started. I want to talk about what it's like being out in public with you.
Why?
You mean, why would I even consider going out in public with you? Or...
Yeah, that's part one, and part two is, why would you want to dwell on it? Just get it out of your head. It's over.
It haunts me.
Why? How?
Forever. I woke up this morning thinking, okay, I've got to make sure Brad is up. I gotta make sure my daughter's up. You are
I'm
the
your
one,
second.
you,
I'm
you
your
are,
other kid.
Yeah, you're the one that jokingly said I'm like your other kid, and it is true. I have to. It's like I'm constantly.
You had to wake me up for school this morning. I was my alarm. I slept through. Didn't set my alarm.
You didn't set your alarm?
I was dead in the car. And you were laughing at me the whole way.
What else am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to be worried? Am I supposed to constantly burn all that energy worrying or stressing? Or it's like all I can do is laugh because I'm trying to stay happy in my life. And you're trying to bring me down.
I'm not trying. That's just the radiation that comes off.
And you get mad. You act mad. You were laughing at me, but you also say, I thought my role was to bring you joy by how...
I'm purposefully trying to make you feel bad right now. But when I feel like shit, I prefer other people to laugh because I don't want to feel worse by feeling like I'm making other people feel worse. So even just pretending to laugh and smile makes it tolerable.
I don't know. I can't say it brings me joy. I can say at least I've gotten to where I can laugh at it.
So what's the problem? Bringing me out in public is because I can't be out in the heat for long? Like,
it's just you can't.
After 20 minutes, I had to go run and hide inside while you stood outside and talked to people?
No, it's not. It's not that. It's just... I'm like constantly feeling like I
need to put me on a leash.
I stood there and talked to those people. We were at a screening, and I stood there and talked to those people. But the whole time, I couldn't enjoy it because I'm worried about how I know you just want to leave. I know you want to go. You're in the car. Then I get a text message that's saying, "Now I'm inside. Now I'm going to go start the car." First of all, you grab my keys. Let me have the keys. I'm going to go start the car and let it cool off. Which is my cue of, hey man, I'm ready to go when you are.
I was trying to give you an out because I thought you wanted to leave, but I was wrong.
No, well, it's not that I wanted to leave or didn't want to leave, but I did keep getting sucked into conversations, but I couldn't really enjoy those conversations because the whole time I'm like, well, Brad can't sweat, so... You
didn't say that, did you?
I didn't say that. But in the back of my mind, I've heard for 20 fucking years, well, I can't, the heat of the thing into my back. My back is killing me. It's
back when we were making Playback, our first attempt at a feature film, and we were doing a scene outside. I had to make sure. I remember I had a thing. I was overheating in the middle of shooting, and I had to get your keys and run to your car. And I was, out for a couple hours.
Yeah, so that was 2001, and it's 2018.
Yeah.
So those of you listening, that's, for the record, 17 years I've been dealing with this shit.
By the way, yes, I am a filmmaker, but I try to make all the scenes indoors. Or at night.
No more outside movies.
Dude, mosquitoes in Florida are terrible. Bugs, gnats, all of that stuff. And it's so sticky. Nobody wants to be out. But I will do, it's a movie by the lake or on the lake or something where you just jump in the water. I think I could do that.
No skinny dipping.
So, I guess we're not going to talk about...
No, we can talk about it. You wanted to talk about... First of all, I would like to say that even though we hated the Meg, it is still about to make $300 million globally this week, and they're talking about how it might still beat Crazy Rich Asians.
Well, I was curious. I guess we'll wait, and you can tell me about Crazy Rich Asians on the the Friday show.
Yeah.
But I am curious.
Well, Crazy Rich Asians, right? It's the opening weekend of Crazy Rich Asians, and by the time this show comes out, we will know what it made over the weekend. But we currently Sunday afternoon recording this, we don't know. It's on mark to make something like $25 million in its opening weekend, which for a movie that was made for such a much smaller budget the way it is, $25 million is a good. I mean, it's going to be number one unless the Meg beats it. So $25 million is good. But the Meg is right now is charting at $21 million, and that was a Saturday afternoon thing I was reading. So we don't know. Anyway, the Meg is gonna make enough money to warrant a sequel. Man, they shot that movie for $150 million.
It's possible that a sequel could be better because hopefully we don't have to spend all that wasted time with trying to develop characters or whatever that ultimately they just put in the closet for the rest of the movie. The characters that don't matter or are stupid.
No, like I said before, it's possible.
But also a plot that's just
possible.
bad.
It's possible for the sequel to be better because it can't get much worse than the first one.
Right, and they could just focus on the shark eating people,
which they didn't even do.
I know they had the whole beach full of people. Are we spoiling?
No,
because it's in the trailer, but we just assume he's gonna just eat all those people.
It's annoying though. We hated that movie, and now we've spent 2 or 3 podcasts talking about it.
And I remember I got up when the dog was out in the water because I just knew the dog was gonna get eaten, and then I came back 10 minutes later and it was alive. Spoiler.
Now that's a spoiler. Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah. It had no bearing on the movie.
Yeah. Plus, if you're like me, you need to know that the dog lived.
Well, no one's quite like you. I don't know many people who get up and walk out of a movie because they see a dog and are afraid something bad might happen to it.
Yeah.
I remember John Wick, you were like, no! You were more upset in John Wick when the dog got... Because nobody knew... And we all know John Wick now, but back then we didn't know that that's what happened that caused John Wick to lose his shit. But you were like, Luke, I am your father... Or something terrible just happened. Forrest Gump died. And you're like, no! Yeah. Why would you do that? And Brad, you were so loud in the theater. Yeah. You're like, everyone in that theater heard your exclamation about how...
You can kill all the people you want, but leave the dogs alone. That's my motto.
All right, well, that's...
But, okay, shark movies, man.
Yeah, shark movies,
all this week, Sci-Fi had bad, terrible shark movies.
Yeah.
And tonight, this Sunday, it says it's the last Sharknado, but who knows?
It's about time.
Yeah. And you're not just saying that. That's the name of the Sharknado.
That's the name of the Sharknado.
It's about time travel.
I've never seen... Oh. It's about time travel?
Right.
Yeah.
That's why it's about time.
Can I travel back in time and slap the motherfucker who came up with this idea?
No.
Sharknado?
Because if you could, then Sharknadoes would be real, and then, yeah, no. But here's the thing. I got to tell you about a couple of the... First of all, there was Santa Jaws, about a shark that eats Santa and absorbs Santa's powers, and when the fin comes up above water, it has a Santa hat on it. And its eyes glow red like Rudolph's nose.
Was this a Sharknado movie?
No, it's just
a
regular old...
It's another bad... What is it with bad shark movies? Why are people doing that on purpose?
And so that one I watched like half of it and then fast forwarded through the rest. Oh, but here's a funny part. Spoiler for Santa Jaws, just to warn you. So he tries to... What happened is he's a comic book drawer, and he drew artist, not drawer. He made this comic about Santa Jaws, and so he had this magical pen, and it came to life, became real. So he starts trying to kill it, and so he takes his teeth out, but then it knocks, what are those balls, those ornaments that you hang on your tree? What are those called?
They're called ornaments.
But they're like glass. They're very fragile. So he knocks those off and eats them, and then they get stuck in his gums and become his new teeth. And then he tries to impale it with the candy cane looking thing, and it ends up sticking in his head, not killing him, and he ends up with a horn that he can now stab people with. You can imagine it jumping out of the water, stabbing someone. This
awesome. Is what I'm talking about. It was awesome. Did you just say it was awesome?
It was just stupid.
But why? Why?
Okay, that's not the worst.
Why?
Here's the worst.
Why? No! Like, why?
I fast forwarded through a movie called Two-Headed Shark Attack to find out that there was a three-headed shark attack movie, and then five-headed, and then a six-headed.
There's 6 of them, or?
Yes.
There's
but I have
6.
to say, the third one is the best one because it has the hottest chicks in it. The other ones, you can't.
There's 6 of them, but I have to say, the third one, which I can't even believe you made it through the first one.
I fast-forwarded, because you just gotta see. Okay, let me see it kill someone.
No, you don't.
And then let me see how they kill it.
I don't have to see.
But it's like a hydra or something. You cut off a head, another one, and then it starts eating its own head. But here's the thing:
are there 6 movies?
When it got to
There's 6,
yeah, or no, like 5 movies. They skipped one and just added a couple heads. They went from 3 to 5. So by the time it got, because I see you get to a point to where like, how are they going to fit all these heads on the shark? So I had to see 6-headed shark attack, and so they got 2 heads on the front, and then 2 heads on each side. So 2 heads on the left side, 2 heads on the right. But the interesting part is that allows it to walk on land because it can use the heads on its side to walk its feet. So it can get you on land. So that was my
what channel
weekend.
is this on?
Sci-Fi. Sci-Fi's the Shark Attack.
Yeah, but Sci-Fi made Sharknado and then made all these other bad shark movies?
Well, if they didn't make them, they paid for them, or yes.
God. So
that was my weekend. And by the way, all of those were better than the Meg.
I mean, you're talking about that was my weekend, and you're sitting here complaining about being up late working. Like, if you hadn't watched the stupid shark movies, maybe you could have been done working by 6 or 7 o'clock that day.
I had them recording, so I could just go and fast forward them.
How are people going to listen to the show and take you seriously, knowing that you watched 5 6-headed shark movies? Like, we're about to review an actual movie now.
Because, okay, I feel like we fill the gamut of people that watch movies. I can get something out of any kind of movie just about, and you're the snob who, no, I'm not going to watch a movie with a 3-headed shark.
I see no point in watching a movie that is supposed to be bad. Hey, we're going to make a bad movie.
Zombievers is awesome.
I've never watched Zombievers. Zombievers, the trailer for Zombievers did make me actually laugh.
Yeah.
So if it's a comedy that is also horror, that's different.
Okay.
But not a movie that is like So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Great.
One of my favorite movies. But a movie, because that was a comedy, it was like a mashup of 2 genres.
Right.
That was great. But a movie that they set out to make cheesy, like where the whole point of it is, hey, guess what? We're going to get to this 4 or 5 movies from now. We're going to get to this like 5-headed shark so it can walk on land thing. That's what we're building towards on purpose with the Santa Jaws. Like, I won't watch those.
I think it's about women in bathing suits and then very poorly rendered 3D graphics, and more often than not, they would repeat the same 1 or 2 scenes. It's like they could only afford to render out 2 scenes with the sharks, and so they would just keep replaying those or zoom in so that or whatever. It's dumb. And they roared. They roared underwater. Yeah, it's ridiculous. Sharks can't roar.
You know who covers movies that I feel are they like a broad type of movies. They like all kinds of movies. They're huge movie fans, but they have like a non-snobby filmmakery response to those movies. Is April and Tim, who do the He Said She Said movie reviews podcast. I've sent you them. Have you listened to it yet?
A little bit. I haven't listened to a whole episode because I don't listen to podcasts.
Well, it's only like 9 to 12 minutes per episode.
I could do that. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I won't listen to our show.
They do very. Here's the info. Here's what I thought about it. Here's what the other person thought about it. Like Tim has things that he feels about things, and she has things that she feels about things. But they review movies just as movie lovers. Like you and I in particular never feel like I can review a movie or talk about a movie without filtering it through my snobby like filmmaker, artist thing. Mm-hmm. So when I listen to their movie, like for instance, they gave a good review of The Meg. They have they didn't say it was great. They just said it was a 3-star movie or something like that. They both sort of thought it wasn't terrible, but wasn't great. So I hated it because I can't see. First of all, I can't see spending 2 years of my life working on something that is supposed to be bad. Like I want to make a good movie. I'm not going to waste 2 years of my life on something that's supposed to be bad. But I do feel like when I listen to their show, I know what general movie-going audiences are going to feel about a movie. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They might be seesaw a little bit. I liked it but didn't like it sort of a thing. But I do feel like they see movies the way like a general audience would see movies because they are just a general, I don't mean that like they're not good or whatever. I just mean that they're regular people, not filmmakers going to watch a movie because they love watching movies. Yeah, so
I think you told me about their podcast around the time we started ours.
Yeah, they started. I can't remember if they started a little before us or a little after us. Anyway, we started about the same time, and I've been listening to their show ever since. One of the coolest things about their show is that it is 10 or it's like they average around 10 or 11 minutes.
Yeah.
So in 10 minutes, you can hear what a movie's about a little bit and get a couple of opinions about it and decide if you want to go see it or not.
It's more bite-sized, which probably more people would prefer.
I don't know.
You and I just blabber.
We just love to talk. We just love to have conversations about it, and we just record them. So.
What it is we're going to have those conversations anyway, so we got tired of saying funny things or having good conversations, and then afterwards thinking, we should have recorded that. So we just...
And like right now, we're supposed to be talking about Mile 22. We've been talking for 20...
I just had to talk about Bad Shark
We've been
movie.
talking for 20 minutes, and I'd rather keep talking about the bad movie thing than Mile 22. However...
Mile 22
was pretty good. Mile 22 was pretty good. So this is starring Mark Walburg and directed by Peter Berg, who they have made some movies some good movies together in the past.
But it also has my favorite guy from The Raid and The Raid 2 and Beyond Skyline. It's Iko Uwais, like Ikouwais.
Okay.
I believe that is how you... I don't know how you pronounce his name, but I think it's Iko.
So, they did Patriots Day together. This is Mark Walburg and Peter Berg. They did Patriots Day together, Deepwater Horizon. Peter Berg did direct an episode of The Leftovers, but that doesn't... Lone Survivor. They've worked together a few times.
Lone Survivor was pretty good.
Lone Survivor was a great movie, and Deepwater Horizon was pretty good. Patriots Day was pretty good. They've been making good movies together. Watchable, highly watchable, fun movies. Mile 22 is I would say different for the two of them. The two movies that they've made together have been nothing like this really, because it's more like chaos. However, I want to finish talking about who's in the movie. Lauren Cohan, from of course Walking Dead.
Oh right, I really enjoyed her in the movie.
Yeah, she was great in the movie. What I liked about seeing her in the movie is that she was different than her Walking Dead character. She plays Maggie. She plays Maggie on Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So, Peter Berg, Mark Walburg, Lauren Cohan, what's the MMA fighter? Ronda Rousey.
Oh.
Who, it seemed to me, they were intentionally not spending much time hanging out on her. I didn't think her performance was bad. I was expecting it to be bad because now she's acting kind of like in the way you don't expect Arnold Schwarzenegger's performances to be strong. Yeah. Even though I think part of what works about Arnold Schwarzenegger's performances is the campiness that anytime he's supposed to be serious in a movie, it's not. You're a little worried. And Ronda Rousey, she didn't get a whole lot of like close up time, but her part in the movie was cool. Like she was running and jumping and blowing shit up.
I was starting to think watching the movie that they were purposefully not spending a lot of time with her because maybe her performance wasn't as good as the others.
Yeah, maybe not.
And also her role in the movie was just to, kick ass,
smaller,
really.
Yeah. And John Malkovich, who
he had some good lines.
Who I love. I can't remember the one time that I really laughed at something he said, and I remember turning to you and say, "That's like John Malkovich." That's like I love John Malkovich.
Yeah, he was shouting at everyone.
He was shouting. It was funny. Okay, so this movie is about the ultra top secret organization, right?
It's sort of like they're a Mission Impossible organization. It's supposed to be off books and a higher form of patriotism.
Yeah, and
I remember you asked me. You said, "Is this based off the video game?" Because they said we are Overwatch.
Yeah, we are.
This is not based off the game.
Yeah, so it's not based off the game Overwatch. Yeah. I've never played the game Overwatch, but the mention of the word made me think maybe it was supposed to be.
I think that was on purpose. I think they did that in the trailer on purpose.
Maybe to clue people in on what it is. Yeah. Okay. So they're this ultra top secret group that goes in and does stuff that is like all redacted from documents and stuff like that. The movie is ultimately... It is an out of order... It's like so Mark Walburg's character is considered highly smart, highly intelligent.
It's almost like he had Asperger's. Like he
really kind of, in a way, it was something was up with him because he didn't get along with people and he didn't take anyone. He just is like, the only thing we have here. Yeah. He's not just patriotic. There's something off about him as well.
Like when he's in the women's locker rooms while they're showering,
just yelling at people. Yeah, just yelling at people, monologuing. Yeah, but he liked puzzles. His character was a puzzle guy, and I started thinking this movie was kind of like a puzzle because it's all out of order.
Yeah, that was one of the pleasantly surprising things about the movie is we didn't see some of the things coming.
If the movie had been in order, it would probably... If it had been totally in order, beginning, middle, and end, it probably would have seemed like just another movie about a mission that had gone bad and they had to fix it.
But I remember several times you were saying, I don't know what they're talking about. What did they just say? What's going on?
It was chaos in... Not in the events that are happening to them, but chaos in how it was shot and edited which made it hard to follow. Now, the first half of the movie, no, not even first half of the movie, but every other scene you're like, do I like this because it's hard to follow, or is it annoying me that it's hard to follow? I never was able to settle in and decide whether I liked the movie or not until about 3/4 of the way through, where you're just like, where pieces start to fall into place and you start to see it and you're like, oh, okay. And by the end, I felt like I liked the movie. But throughout, I really don't know if I ever caught anything they were really saying to each other or anything that really happened. Like, you can't go, oh, right, he can't go in there because so-and-so's in there. Like, you don't know because... Honestly, they're fighting, there's a gunfight, there's a battle. Suddenly, a hand grenade from nowhere lands in the middle of a shot. It's a shot of a hand grenade going. You don't know who threw it. You don't know where it came from. You don't know, should they jump out of its way or did they throw it there to blow up the guy? Like, what? And then people are throwing punches. They're fighting in a dark room and you can't tell who is who.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of camera shaking. That was my gripe about the movie, is because Iko, who's just an amazing martial arts choreographer, or just stunt choreography in general, fight choreography, whatever, action. Because some of the things he did in The Raid and The Raid 2 were just cinematically from a director and camera point of view. So I was really looking forward to his fight scenes, but there was some of his fight scenes are just jerking the camera around, and you can't enjoy what is like a beautiful choreography of dance almost, but with fights. And you can't enjoy him landing some punches or breaking arms.
Those fight scenes were fun to watch, though, because the violence in the movie is brutal.
Yeah, I remember I told you before he started fighting, I knew the scene was about to happen.
He said, about to...
I said, this is going to be awesome. This guy's like a younger Jackie Chan. You watch. And then he ended up doing that.
There's a scene in the movie where it's mostly dark, and you see two people fighting out hand-to-hand combat, mostly, and they're in such shadow that you can't even tell, like, there's the guy you're rooting for, and then there's the other guy, but you can't tell who's who because of the way it's shot. And even in scenes that were well lit, you're right, the camera is whipping around, and the editing, it's not even the editing a lot of the time. I mean, it's not even the camera work a lot of the time. It is the editing, because the editing will cut in the middle of someone striking somebody, and then you'll see somebody else flying out of it, and you don't know how it happened. And it's obviously an intentional thing. They're doing it on purpose to keep you confused.
I thought that what they were doing is trying to let the audience feel what it would be like to be there on the mission, where things are just happening and you're just going through it, and you don't know where that came from, but you're dealing with it and moving on.
That theory is probably the only thing I could think of from our previous conversation about it that would make sense for why you would shoot or edit the movie that way.
Because it's just chaotic, and you kind of felt that.
There's a guy working for a government. They think he might be a mole or a spy. They might think some sort of agent for this other country. He's trying to gain asylum. We didn't even give a premise for the movie at all. He's trying to get asylum from that country into our country. And as a party favor, he's like, here, I've got this little hard drive that has all of the information that you want for these, like, nuclear bombs that are about to go off. Well,
I think it was a biochemical substance for a terrorist was going to do a biological attack, and so he had, was it sarin or something with an S?
I don't know.
It's a powdery substance that they could chemicalize and make it airborne.
Anyway, 6 pounds of it is more deadly than Hiroshima and the two bombings in Japan. The 2 atom bombs we dropped in Japan. So 6 pounds of it is more powerful than 2 atom bombs that were dropped in World War II.
And the guy, he said that he would give them the information. It was locked, and they were on a time limit. So he said, just take me to America, right? Yeah. He's like, give me asylum.
Yeah. Once you get me on the plane, I will give you the code to unlock this that tells you where they are.
But in the meantime, was it the Chinese government? I don't know
I don't know which government it was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't know, because I don't even know if they showed you. There's so much happening at one time that I know I missed like half the stuff.
But the government, the people in the government kept trying to get him back. So we think they're the bad guys trying to. Some scenes are trying to kill him. I think the whole time they're trying to kill the guy, or at least capture him.
Yeah, they're trying to kill him.
And dead or alive, I'm guessing.
Yeah. So, all that, but none of that really matters, because that's like in the beginning and at the end. The stuff that happens in the middle is just like, it's like a gauntlet of chaos from one scenario to the next.
Yeah.
And this movie was 95 minutes long.
It's mile 20. Was it 22 miles?
Mile 22.
Okay, because basically they had to get across town or something to the airport.
It was 22 miles to the airport,
so
that's the premise. So the movie was only 95 minutes long, and I was halfway through going, I'm glad this is only 95 minutes long, because I knew how long it was before we went into it. Because when it was over, you're thinking, if that was any longer, it wouldn't. They got in and out in just enough time. So
I love the ending, by the way. I mean, just because you don't, totally don't expect
you don't
that.
expect you really don't expect what happens to happen because part of it is you don't they keep you, it's like somebody keep pulling the rug out from under you while you're trying to gain your footing. You keep stepping on this one thing, they pull the rug out.
Just as you've gotten it figured out, then they're like, oh yeah, but that's not really what it was.
Just as you hear something John Malkovich says and you start to compute it, you think, oh, that's because of this and this. 5 more things have happened. And you're like, what happened? I missed something. And so it's hard to follow. But that doesn't, in this case, doesn't mean it's bad. It just means it's hard to follow. And you actually do need to see it a second time to catch all the stuff, even though I don't think I liked it enough to really want to see it again.
I want to see the action scenes again.
The fight scenes, particularly the hand-to-hand combat scenes, were very well done. The gunfights, which is there's one gunfight near the middle that's kind of like that reminded me just a little bit of like something from Heat, where they're in the street fighting with each other. Oh yeah,
in between cars.
But
that was pretty good.
It was good, but it was nowhere near. It was so choppy, that.
It was. By the way, I love the idea that because they're a secret organization, but they had access to everything, like cameras inside.
At one point, he says, "Okay,
everywhere.
Flip the power off."
Right, to just have that option to where, hey, flip the power off. I'm going to go do this thing real quick. But one of my favorite parts, dude, is I was enjoying Mark Walburg throughout the whole movie. Because it seems like, different from some of his other movies, it seems like they just let him go off the handle. Because he was just monologuing every chance he got. He was just going off on a tangent, and he was just hilarious. Some of the things he'd say, like he went and saved the woman, and he said, "What did he say? I just wasted 10 minutes coming back here."
Right. He broke an order. Which they said leave. They said leave. He's like, we can't leave. It's at a point in the movie where you're like, oh, the guy does have like some feelings, and he goes in and he solves that problem, whatever the problem was, and she says thanks. He says, okay, get your shit together. We wasted 10 minutes coming back here to save you. Like, he doesn't even so it was funny. Here's the thing about Mark Walburg in this movie. I don't think Mark Walburg has been great in a movie since Boogie Nights. He's always watchable.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he was so good in Boogie Nights, and I think he was in a movie called Fear right before that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
where he was good. And like part of what happened in Fear, which I haven't seen in probably 20 years, was that's Marky Mark. Marky Mark can act.
Yeah. And
you're like, oh okay. And then he's in Boogie Nights, and you're like, holy shit, because he was great in Boogie Nights. Everybody's great in Boogie Nights, and that's Paul Thomas Anderson, but the director. But since then, he's been good. He's not been bad. He's never been bad, except in The Happening, which that's just a bad movie. But in this movie, they're definitely trying to have him do something different. And I totally respect that, because Mark Walburg must get tired of being Mark Walburg in movies. Yeah. But and what he was saying was funny. I just did not buy his performance at all. And I don't think he's stupid. I don't think Mark Walburg is stupid or anything like that. But I don't buy him as the way you look at Matt Damon in the Talented Mr. Ripley, and you just believe that Matt Damon is like highly intelligent. Mm-hmm. I don't look at Mark Wahlberg and believe he's highly intelligent.
Yeah,
I wouldn't believe the Rock is highly intelligent. You know what I mean? The Rock is highly intelligent, and so is Mark Wahlberg, because I've heard them talk.
Yeah.
But I don't believe them as a
savant.
Savantish is the thing.
I felt early on that they were trying to sell us on. That was a little weird at the beginning, where they just cut to, I think credits were going, and they're trying to say, this kid is so smart, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Come on, that's not Mark Wahlberg, is it? Because, we just couldn't buy that.
You're right, it's not smart, it's the savant thing. I don't buy him as a Rain Man.
Right.
But, and his performance was so over the top at times, where he's just yelling at people. I feel like he's just trying, even though you're right, it was funny.
It was funny.
It was situationally, it was funny, but I feel like he's trying to talk everyone in this movie talks so fast that he's just trying to get the words out without getting tongue twisted.
I think what I enjoyed about it is I've seen him on. They had this reality show about was it Wahlburgers?
We have a Wahlburgers in town, and I've still never gone to one.
What's wrong?
It's in downtown Orlando.
We need to do that.
Part of the problem is you'd have to walk a block.
I'll do it.
I'll do it.
I want to try Wahlburgers. Anyways,
Wahlburgers.
I've seen him in real life, and he can go off like that. And so I was just enjoying every moment of it, because there was even a couple of Saturday Night Live skits where they're just going off about how in every movie Mark Walburg is like, oh hey, how you doing? How's your mother? Tell her I said hi. So they did that in this movie. He sits down to what do you call it? Interrogate someone, and the first thing he says is, "Oh, hey, how you doing? How's your mother?"
Yeah.
And he says, "Tell your mother I said hi."
And then he just destroys the guy. Yeah. It's so. What do you think? Do you think that the movie? So what we have here, I think, is a standard. Like, if this movie came out and it was in a linear fashion, it didn't have 4 or 5 things happening at once that you're trying to put together like a puzzle. If it had come out in a linear A, B, C, D thing, there's no way that this movie would be good. Because we've just seen Mission Impossible. 5 or 6?
It's
6.
Yeah, it's not Mission Impossible.
That blew this movie out of the water if it was in order.
Yeah, if you compare.
So, do you think, and I definitely think that the conceit of the out of order elements and the bunch of things happening at once thing was done from filming. They planned to shoot it that way. It's not something they did in post-production to make it.
Yeah, they planned it from the beginning.
In a way, it was smart that the story was simple. It was very, this happens and this happens and this happens, because we're going to fuck all this shit up and make it hard to follow. So if it's a complicated story that they then make hard to follow, it would be unwatchable.
Because they started out basically at the end, because it started out where Mark Walburg was reporting on what you just ascertain something must have gone wrong, so he's just telling the story of what happened.
Yeah.
So
he starts out with him telling a story, you don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So you're on edge again. You're like, from the beginning, you don't know what he's talking about.
But I enjoy, even the beginning action sequence was pretty entertaining.
The thing at the house?
Yeah, because, they were coordinating everything, and it seemed pretty accurate and realistic.
It seemed... definitely seemed believable.
Yeah.
And I say all these little critiques that I'm giving, I don't mean I didn't like it, because in the end I did like it, but for an hour and a half I couldn't tell if I liked it or not.
We went in thinking it was going to be bad because it had low Rotten Tomato ratings.
And now we know why, because Rotten Tomatoes is something like 27% or 25% or something like that. I'm going to look it up while we're talking now.
Yeah, I thought you said it was more like 40% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mile 22.
But
Mile 22 is...
Wow.
Audience approval is 44%.
Oh.
Critics are giving it 20%.
20%? It wasn't that bad.
Here's the thing.
It was decent.
People don't like... It's like when you sit down and watch something that's that's Shakespearean, with the iambic pentameter and the Old English and stuff.
I think they didn't like the ending.
And it takes a little while to tune into what they're saying if you're not totally familiar with it.
Okay.
So this movie, the dialect of this movie is that chaotic editing, and I think it just isn't for everybody.
So maybe they wouldn't like Memento. It's told in reverse.
Well, Memento was told in reverse very simply from end to beginning.
Yeah.
This is told from the middle, the beginning, the end.
Well, yeah,
all mashed up to each other.
Right. Yeah. You go from the end to the beginning to the middle. To the end, to the middle, to the beginning, and then to the end.
And honestly, it might even be a spoiler that we're even telling you, because it's not clear on some of the, when you're watching it, it's not clear is this, when was this? Does this already happened, or is this something that hasn't quite happened yet in the future? And it's not, you know what I mean? It's like, it is take, somebody took the script. It's not, this isn't what happened, but it's like somebody took the script, mismatched all the pages, put it back together and handed it and said, this is the movie I want to make. But it's just...
People do put movies together that way. They'll put them on these little index cards, the scenes, and then move them around to make a more interesting story. That's probably what happened.
So, for a movie to be as confusing as it was, I still liked it. I still liked it. I give it, I'm in the middle on it. I'm like...
Well, it was confusing, but you didn't leave confused. You knew
by the end you did not leave confused.
You knew what happened,
but you might feel like shell shocked by it.
Oh, you will,
because
I think a lot of the low ratings are the ending.
Yeah,
but definitely don't. If you think you might like it, you probably will.
There are great action scenes in it, some great fighting and stuff like that.
Oh, the fighting is so worth it. I mean, that was worth it. The first fight scene with Eco, I guess it's Eco. I don't. To me, that was worth. If I had paid for the movie,
dude,
that was worth the admission.
Are you talking about the scene in the lab?
The lab.
Oh my god.
It was awesome. It was so realistic, too, because the guys didn't go down after the first hit. Like, it was... And as badass as he was, it took a lot of work, and he was, like, out of breath and injured himself.
Yeah.
It was
good. If you don't mind... If you like, in fact, brutal violence, there are moments of pure great... like brutality and it's fun to watch because it almost, it's cringy too. You're like, oh my god, it just got, like, you see and hear the arms go backwards, that sort of thing. You see and hear the leg get crunched. You see and hear the smacking of the thing across the guy's face. The movie, it hurts, and you can feel it hurting.
Also, to our delight, some of the characters were good.
Yeah.
Like, we enjoyed... there were 4 or 5 really good, enjoyable characters that every time they were on screen, actors, it was just... We enjoyed every moment we had with them.
You're right. My favorite character... I love John Malkovich. He wasn't in the movie a whole lot, but my favorite character to watch was the one who I felt suffered the most and went through more struggles for her pure... patriotism, like a higher degree of patriotism, like they said in the movie.
She's a mother.
Was Lauren Cohan, who basically sacrificed. That's the word I was looking for. Not suffered. Sacrificed the most. She's got the most interesting character because she is brutal, but also emotional. She's like, you see both sides. Like Mark Walburg is just a hammer and everything's a nail. Mm-hmm. She is struggling. And it's fun to watch. It was most fun to watch her because what the stakes are for her. Mark Walburg's character doesn't care about anything except getting to the next thing. Yeah. She is worried about staying alive, her kid, all that stuff.
Yeah, the fact that her job keeps ruining her relationship with her family. But I just remembered another reason why I thought the writing and the characters were so good is even the guy on the computer got to show some personality. Like, he's on there doing little comments on the side.
Yeah.
But when he finally got the order to do the thing that, like, it's his job to push the button to do the thing.
The drone.
He was like, I forget what he said. He's like, yeah, damn right, or something like that. Gotcha! It was like, I enjoyed that even the guy on the computer, because I felt like if you were that guy waiting for that moment that you were telling your boss before, we should do this, and finally you got to do it. I feel like that's how you would be.
So I used to be in, he finally gets to push the little red button. I once sat in a newsroom. I started out in TV and news. I'm not telling you, I'm telling them. You know this. But one day, the Casey Anthony trial was on, a few years ago, and that was I think it was that 7 or 8, 9, 10 years ago? I don't know.
Something like that.
It's a long time ago. Anyway, my job one day is to sit there and to keep my finger on the bleeper in case somebody, because they were broadcasting the news, they were broadcasting the trial live, and sometimes somebody would drop an F-bomb or something, read something that said shit, and they don't want that to go out on the air. And my job was this: I literally sat there for 8 hours with my finger on the button, and nobody ever said anything. Do you know how badly I wanted to hit the bleeper just that one time? Just once. So it never happened for 8 hours. So amplify that by 1,000,000 times. And this is the guy who's sitting there listening to this mission, and like he just wants to push the red button and launch the drone. It's like, I get it. I get it. My very boring version of it, but I get it.
It is so satisfying. I won't ruin it or say much more, but that moment is so satisfying because we're all just wish. And when that happens, you're like, oh no, come on, you're so close. Just don't. And then it's like, yes, I felt pleasure.
So I'm middle of the road on it. I don't think it's bad. However, if you have a problem with shaky cam or chaotic editing, if you have a problem following things, trying to figure things out as they go, this might not be your thing.
If you want simple action movies and not complicated stories, then maybe. But I still feel like if you like action movies, you're going to get enjoyment out of this movie.
It's a good action movie because it's a different kind of action movie.
Yes.
Yeah. Still not even as good as something as simple as True Lies, which I think is one of James Cameron's.
That's very enjoyable.
James Cameron's best regular movie.
Yeah.
Where he wasn't trying to
That's one of my
sink
favorite
the Titanic or something.
Time.
True Lies is great. Yeah.
James Cameron, man, I love him.
He's a great storyteller. Unfortunately, it's taken him what?
What is he doing, man? Avatar is ruining his life.
They're making 3 more, at least. They say at least 3 more Avatar movies. And when did Avatar come out? Was it 2008 or 9 or something?
Yes, it was all right.
It's almost 10 years ago. As long as people are waiting for it, it better be fucking good.
Well, so far he knows what he's doing.
Yeah, and he has the Titanic.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
The world's most, but it's not a bad movie.
It is not a bad movie.
So, I wasn't a huge fan of it either. I thought Jack dying in the end was a cop-out.
Yeah, it's just stupid.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of a cop-out.
I was so mad at that.
Push one of those other dead bodies off of a thing and first of all, here's the thing.
Uh-oh.
Here's the thing. So you got...
Now we're complaining about Titanic.
Leonardo DiCaprio. First of all, Titanic is brilliant. It's amazing. Watching that movie is holy shit, this is a real movie we're watching.
Yeah.
But Rose, Kate Winslet, who I love and fell in love with because of Titanic. That's when I fell in love with Kate Winslet. She's just as much in the water as he is.
Yeah.
Almost. He's maybe up to his chest and she's maybe up to her waist. Why does that kill him but not her?
It's just...
And if all he's got to do is get a little bit more out of the water, there's dead bodies floating. I'll just kick him out.
It was a cop-out. Even in
the
scene...
How about you climb up on one of the dead bodies and float?
In the scene, right behind him and around him, I'm like, there's a piece of wood right there. Get on that. Or pile some wood to get... What the hell?
I would be okay with him dying if it wasn't you wanted him to die, so now he has to die.
It was just a cop-out.
I would be okay with him dying if he gets shot in the last minute, or the ship lands on him, because they did get taken down into the middle of the ocean by that ship. Something happened that killed him. I don't mind that, but he just said goodbye. He gave up.
Yeah,
he gave up
after everything they went through. He's like, "Oh no, I'll just stay here."
So, okay, that's our review of the Titanic. That is, but it is a classic. It's a great movie. I did love the movie. It's the first movie to ever make $1 billion at the box office.
Oh,
It was one of the first movies that ever used digital breath on people. He did not spare detail. Do you remember when that movie came out? It was supposed to come out during the summer, but he wasn't done with it yet, and he was not about to let go of it. So they let him put it out in Christmas time. They gave him 3 more months. And then when it came out, they had so much writing on that movie because it was also the first movie to ever cost $300 million to make. Yeah. If they made that movie today, $300 million is $500 million just to make a movie.
Yep.
So they had a lot riding on it.
I'm personally a fan of every other movie that James Cameron made.
So that's it for this week's show. I hope you guys liked it.
We're not going to do a spoiler. We don't need it.
We don't need to do any spoilers. It's hard to spoil. I don't remember what happened in the movie.
Well, there's yeah.
Yeah.
There's a really awesome spoiler, but there's no sense in talking about it.
Yeah. Just go see it. It'll be if you like that kind of movie, it'll be worth it for you.
Yeah.
As long as you've been warned about the shaky cam chaos.
But you'll still be okay. I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
Movieisms.com.
Movieisms.com.
We're on YouTube, Super Mega Ultra.
Yeah.
Movieisms@gmail.com.
Yep. All those things.
Yeah. We're Movieisms on most of social medias.
Thank you to everybody who's listening. Keep listening. If you have a friend that may like this show, send it to them.
And what's the podcast we were talking about again?
Oh, He Said, She Said movie reviews with Tim and April. They do a good job of giving a great summary of the show.
Yes.
Of the movie. And they often get more than one review out a week. They don't always, but sometimes they get more than one review out a week.
They were very structured, from what I heard.
They have a strict structure they keep to. We do a review on Mile 22, but spend 20 minutes talking about shark movies instead. Yeah, so that's it. All right, we'll see you next time.
Peace out. The end.
Movieisms is a production of Super Mega Ultra Entertainment and is produced by Michael Beckemeyer and Bradley Kingston. If you'd like to find out more, follow us on Twitter or Instagram. And make sure you click like on our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/movieisms. If you're enjoying this podcast, please take a moment and give us a 5-star review in iTunes. It only takes a minute, and it helps us out more than you can imagine. Thank you very much, and until next time, we'll see you at the movies.